Got ya.
G'day everyone, and welcome to episode 9 of the Battleforge Gaming Podcast, presented by General Games. I'm Background Mike, and as always, I'm joined by BFG Justin.
Hey guys.
And today we've got our special guest, Honeydew Miniatures, aka Naz. Welcome, Naz.
Hello.
How you going, Justin? How's your last 2 weeks been?
Pretty hectic actually, yeah. Yep. So since we did our announcement for the General Games sponsorship, which is fantastic, we received an email for a super secret project, which is probably not so secret. Anyone that's been on stream has heard me talking about it. But apart from the full-time work, my afternoons and evenings have been filled with building Tyranids so I can start batch painting them, as well as doing the regular live streams with Blood Angels. So
Yeah.
we could probably chat about a little further into the podcast. We could talk about it now if you want. So
How long do you have to build these nerds?
not long. We've got 3 months. We've got till April. It's for an event, April 25th, 26th.
26 to be
26.
to be announced.
The dates are announced. So 26th to 28th. It's unfortunately on the same weekend as ARC, which was the tournament I was painting towards. But now we're painting towards something else. So we've got 3 months to paint up 850 points of Tyranids. And we don't know the capacity that we're going to be, I don't know. We're not sure what we're going to be doing when we're there. We don't have the details fully, fledged
Locked
out.
in.
But we're going to, or you can say it. We're going to say it?
Yeah.
Cool. We're going to DreamHack.
Yeah, we're going to DreamHack.
I don't know if you knew, Naz. Did you know? So DreamHack is an event that is normally revolving around gaming and social media. Esports, that type of stuff. But we were lucky enough to receive an email asking Battleforge Gaming, along with General Games, to promote tabletop gaming, in particular Warhammer 40k, which is really big news to the point where I was like, I can't be going to ARC. This is too large of an opportunity to pass by.
It was a tough decision, but
Yeah.
you can't pass up an opportunity like that.
Nah, yeah. So 3 months to paint Tyranids to the standard of the tutorial we put on YouTube.
Yes. And it's safe to assume it's going to be Nids versus Blood Angels.
It's going to be Nids versus Blood Angels, but we do have a special guest that is going to be helping us out there. So he's in chat right now. One of the regulars on stream, Tiny, is coming down with his partner, Mrs. Tiny. And he's bringing his Black Templar. So it could be Black Templar versus Tyranids. But I think the Nids are always going to be on the board because thematically a Xeno race, the classic Xeno race versus Space Marines, is just going to be the most immersive sort of battle report we could do.
Definitely.
I think. Yeah. That's what I've been up to, yeah. Building Tyranids, painting Blood Angels. Even more hobby. I did finish the White Scar last week as well for the tutorial.
The Ultimate Guide.
Yeah, the Ultimate Guide, which we are planning for March.
That'll be a March drop,
I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, so next month, February, we've got the Death Watch tutorial.
Yep.
The Ultimate Guide, rather. And then the month after that, we'll do the White Scars Ultimate Guide release.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we'll do for April, if I've got time for April's Ultimate Guide, because it's just going to be all hands on deck for
Ultimate Guide, how to paint 850 points of Nids.
Yeah, it's going to be crazy. I'll be painting it on stream because I'll have to. There's no other way I'll be able to get it done.
Yeah. So for those of you watching that are sick of seeing Juddy paint Blood Angels, you've got Nids now.
Yeah, strap yourself in. You're going to see a lot of. I'll be dry brushing. I don't often dry brush, but these things will have some dry brushing, and the airbrush will come out as well.
This is going to be BFG Justin's speed paints.
Yeah, it is.
Which is just like regular speed painting.
All the stuff I normally promote, which is like, hey, take your time, put as much effort as you can into painting the best army ever.
Yeah.
It's going out the window. Paint this thing as fast as you can. That's what I've been up to.
That's what you've been up to.
Yep.
It's big. And this all happened in the space of like a week. We were fully planning on going to ARC, making ARC our big event for the year. And then
we're even in chats with the organizer of ARC to bring him on the podcast, which we'll still do. Still want to promote ARC to hobbyists. Like, it's a fantastic tournament for people to go and check out as well as play at Arc. Definitely not saying don't go to Arc. Go to Arc. It's really cool. But also come to DreamHack and check out Battleforge Gaming. You can see us on a Friday as well.
Yeah.
Because Arc's across the Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, and we'll be doing a podcast, I think. There's a very real chance we'll be doing a live podcast from DreamHack as well.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Battleforge Gaming is it was like, we're doing some tutorials, we're doing some small stuff, and now it's like DreamHack.
Yeah. Yep. So, yeah, looking forward to that. And it's going to be a frantic few weeks, but we'll get there, hopefully.
Enough about what I've been up to, because that was actually a long chat.
Yeah, that's the longest intro we've done, I think.
It is.
Yeah. So, Naz, how's your hobby been going to start 2024?
Good, but
What are you working on at the moment?
I assembled I forgot its name.
This is a
Mine
commission.
Shard. I can't remember. No, the commission. I haven't sent it off yet. I'm
Okay.
still looking at it, thinking maybe I can touch it up a bit because I'm not loving it, but it is pretty much done.
Yeah. And you've got your own personal miniatures going on at the moment
Yep.
as well?
Yep.
Yeah.
Is it the Hedonites of Slaanesh stuff you're building? Is that what it is? Yeah.
The Vanguard box.
Oh,
assembly.
yeah. I saw you pick that up,
Yeah.
actually. Yeah. That's awesome.
Some of the coolest models for a long time when they got released, I was like, the Myrmidesh. I think they're like the knight version, like these really elegant knights for the Hedonites. They're so cool. Very, very cool models.
Is the Vanguard box new at all, or?
Vanguard box is basically the combat patrol box for Age of Sigmar.
Oh, okay. That's when, yeah.
you want to start painting Hedonites of Slaanesh, this is your best entry point.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. Value box, like, gets you a couple hundred points or something like that, I'd guess.
Yeah, I think if it's anything like, well, Age of Sigmar's points differ from 40k, so I'm not sure I think a combat patrol is normally around 800 points, something like 600, 800 points. I'm not sure what the Age of Sigmar one is though.
Yeah.
There was just a model in there that I wanted. I saw you could get it by itself, but then I saw it was also in the Vanguard box, so I was like, I'll just get the box.
Why
might
not?
as well.
Yeah. Yeah. You can always have more models. Never have too many, as I'm sure everyone listening will know. But yeah, so we've got a few pics of some of your earlier work. The first one we're going to bring up is Marathi, which is obviously the Daughters of Cain. Now, Justin can relate to painting Marathi. How did you go with highlighting all those scales and painting all those scales? You counted how many scales it was, didn't you, Justin?
Yeah, 428. No, I don't know.
Nobody check him on that.
I don't know how many scales she had, but I remember painting the small ones, and that was like an hour of highlights per small. But did you paint her in sub-assemblies, or did you just build her completely?
I looked up the sub-assembly and I couldn't, I don't know what I did, but I couldn't wrap her around. Like, I forced her so hard to get on the pillar thing. I don't know. Sub-assembly was just absolutely atrocious for me. I regretted it.
The good part about Marathi is, even though she can be painted in sub-assemblies really well, I think she has really good access to all of her areas anyway.
Yeah.
She's large and fiddly, like it's very, sometimes it'd be difficult to hold her, but you do have access to absolutely every single area of her, so that is a bonus for her model.
Yeah.
She was one of the first that Games Workshop really thought about the sub-assemblies. They've started to push it more and more. Previously, it was just like, the join's here and you just deal with it. But with Marathi, the scales did click in, and her wings on her back with her muscles sort of all clicked in really, really well, to the point you could paint it all and then glue her afterwards. But because it does assembly so well, it is hard to click her in and get her where she's meant to be.
Yeah. How long had you been painting for before you sort of tackled a model like that? Because that's a pretty...
Not long, to be honest. I don't know. I've been painting for like just over a year, so that would have been like 6 months or something like that.
Yeah. That's an insane model for someone that's been painting over that space of time. That's insane.
Yeah, just the leap from, I'm going to paint some small stuff, to be like, ooh, yeah, nah, give me that giant snake lady with the wings.
Yeah. Was that almost how it came about? Did you see her and be like, I'm so keen to paint that, and just jumped right in?
Pretty sure I was gifted Marathi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gifted Marathi. And
That's
I thought
cool.
she just looked so cool. And
Yeah.
don't worry about anything else I'm painting. I want to paint this. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Everything goes on hold.
Yeah.
Marathi goes to the front. Yeah.
It's
Yeah. she's-
understandable.
yeah. I still can't get my head around painting. Like just the scales themselves just freak me out. That's so,
That was actually the funnest part for me because I individually highlighted them. I'm not sure how you painted your scales, but because highlighting's my jam, I looked at that and I was just like, this is gonna be so fun. Just individually highlighting each scale. It sounds crazy, I know.
Yeah.
It sounds crazy, but they're just so sharp. They've got like the pointiest like edge highlights. If you want to get good at edge highlighting, you could pick Marathi up. Like crazy model to be like, I'm going to practice edge highlights on Marathi, but you could do
Pretty
it.
much what I did.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
There you go. It gets you good. But the first edge highlights on the scales might not be the best, but I tell you what, by the end they'll be good.
Yeah. You'll be a pro by the end.
Yep.
Won't even be stressing at all. That's so good. And then the second model, I think I picked one from your socials, your Instagram that's a bit more recent, the Blade Coven, which was, how long ago did you paint that model, if you remember? I think it would have been late last year.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. And then...
Did you paint the rest of the Blade Coven up or just that one specific witch model?
I'm pretty sure they're done now.
All of them?
Yep.
Is that a sort of gaming system you'd look at playing at all? Or you just like the models?
Yeah, I mean, I played a couple games of Underworlds with my Slaanesh team. Can't remember the name.
Is that
No,
the one
Joe
that has,
Pageant,
does
Joe
it have a slangor in it, like a beast one?
So
Yeah.
I played with that, but so the smaller games seem easier.
Yep.
Well, easier to learn, so less intimidating. But I don't have anyone to play with as well. So
We've got heaps of people we could play with. We know
I was about to say yet.
yeah, we've got people we can play with. That's one thing you touched on. The smaller game systems are much easier for newer people to get into and for painting as well, I think, because you can spend, for whatever reason, if you've got a small warband, I think you can spend a lot of time focusing on the paint job on them and you like feel really good about it. Whereas if you spent that time on a battle line unit for an army, you're just like, oh, this is so much time. But all that time sink into a little warband, you like feel really good about. And you can go into a lot of detail with them. And like you said, there's not as many rules to pick up for like the Underworlds or I guess Warcry. Warcry's probably got a few more rules, but the smaller stuff's really, really good for beginners to pick up.
Where does Warcry fit in? Because I saw that, is that Age of Sigmar's kind of...
Yeah, so you've got Age of Sigmar, which is obviously the regular gaming system.
Yeah.
You've got the Underworlds, which is it's sort of like as far as I know, because I actually haven't played a game of it. I've got a warband as well, which I haven't painted up. It's sort of a turn-based thing, and you play some cards as well as rolling dice. So you've got like tactics and stuff you can play.
Yeah.
It's a little bit of, I guess, Yu-Gi-Oh, Pokemon mixed with models as well. And then Warcry is sort of the kill team equivalent for people that know 40k. It's the step up where you have, instead of having a warband of maybe 6 guys, you've got maybe 10 to 15, and they've got it's a slightly different rule system, but it's probably how they try and want to get people into Age of Sigmar. You start with the smaller stuff, you go to Warcry, and then you can jump into Age of Sigmar, because your Warcry stuff has rules for Age of Sigmar as well. Like they've got their own specific
so the
rules.
models transfer.
Yep.
Is that the same with Underworld? Does that...
Yeah, so the Underworld guys have rules as
Yeah.
well in Age of Sigmar.
Yeah. Cool.
Sometimes they're really good, sometimes they're not.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. And then I think the last model we've got is the Lord Hubris. Is that you put up pretty recently? Is that one you've just finished, or is that one you've had sort of...
Yeah, I started the shield like 2 days ago, and then I think I finished him up yesterday. So
Yeah,
about
nice.
a day.
Awesome. And like that's...
You say you painted that in 2 days?
Well, I did the shield first because I didn't have much time, and then I painted him in a day. So
In a
yeah.
day?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That looks so good. I
Yeah.
couldn't paint that in a day.
No. Is that do you do massive painting sessions? Is that kind of how you work it? Do you do you sit down and do like 8 hours straight or something like that?
Probably just because I'm at my computer, so I'll be like painting, I'll watch something, or I'll listen, I'll eat lunch, or I'll come back, keep painting. So
Yeah.
It's normally the Battleforge Gaming podcast in the background playing, isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
obviously, yeah. Yeah, so I guess let's dive into your hobby journey. How did you first get into Warhammer? Was that something?
Can I touch on something before we do jump into this?
Yeah.
There's something we forgot right at the beginning of the podcast.
Oh my.
And it's something that I cut Mike off from doing last week. And Mike knows what it is right now.
So for those of you watching now, if you're or listening across the streaming services on Spotify,
And if you were listening 15 minutes ago,
yes,
just take this part and put it at the beginning.
yeah, put it right after I say presented by General Games. If you could like and subscribe and have any feedback for us, drop a comment, and that'd be much appreciated.
Yeah, hit that thumbs up button. It's free,
Definitely.
please. Yeah, and we can go back to Naz's journey now.
Yeah,
I just
yeah.
want to get that out of the way because I didn't want it to be right at the end.
I can't believe I forgot again. Oh, I'm sorry, everyone. I'll let you down. So, how did you discover Warhammer?
Well, I knew someone that used to play Warhammer, so I gifted them Warhammer because it's good to be like creative, and did that. And then when they were painting, I helped them paint and painted some for myself and realized, oh, this is really cool. And then they gifted me Warhammer back, and since then, like, they got me my Daughters of Cain.
Yeah,
So yeah,
Awesome.
that's how I got into it.
that's so good. So you got them back into the hobby basically.
Yeah.
And then they've dragged you in with it with them.
So it's not something you saw when you were much younger, because most people we get in are like, oh, I remember seeing this when I was 12 and I went into a store and I thought it was the coolest thing ever. Like your first point of hobby was only a couple of years ago,
Yeah.
and you were like, this is really cool.
Yeah.
And you said you haven't really played a lot of the gaming system side of it yet. You're definitely a painter over gamer in that sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you do a lot of like creative stuff prior to Warhammer? Were you a painter in any other way prior
Yeah,
to the hobby?
I loved art at school. That's probably when I last really did anything painting, was like high school, and then paint by numbers during COVID lockdown.
Yeah, yeah,
So I guess I went from that to painting minis. So
yeah.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Paint by numbers and painting your minis is the same thing.
I think
just-
I've compared it before.
It's just 3D. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
it's just 3D. I was really
Exactly.
good when I was younger, growing up and painting my colouring books and staying in the lines, and I do the same thing now.
yeah,
So
yeah. There you go. Paint by numbers.
Yep.
And then moving forward now, you've sort of got a bit of a social media presence now with your painting. Did you start that to keep your motivation going with painting, or how did you end up starting your Instagram with the miniature side of things?
someone just told me I should make a page for it, and I was like, all right. And I posted. I thought, I didn't think anyone would really care, but then all of a sudden, other newbies started following me. Like, we're all new and we're all enjoying everyone's like work and giving each other tips, and it was pretty cool. I wasn't expecting it at all. It was a very positive experience.
Yeah, because you seem to get tons of engagement with your comments on your posts and things like that, which is, I mean, it's kind of a bit scary, I can imagine, putting your stuff out there. You never know how it's going to go. Like you said, you didn't think people might care or anything like that, or you could get negative comments and things like that. And yeah, it's amazing that you've had that sort of response from everyone. Have you found, do you know if any of them are local or anything like that?
There's a few fellow Aussies. I don't know about really Melbourne. There's a couple, but yeah, whenever I see it's an Aussie, I get excited.
Yeah.
I don't know why. It's just, it's just exciting.
I think we're the same, because like you can relate on so many more levels, I guess.
Yeah.
In that way, like Justin's got a few that are going to come out for DreamHack, and just cool things like that you really wouldn't get with people overseas. Like someone,
So we could be getting some international people coming to DreamHack.
yeah, totally, yeah. But you never know; it's a lot higher.
Yeah, it's hard. It was a bit more difficult
Yeah.
just to come and say hi to the BFG team at DreamHack.
Yeah. So you said it's been pretty much entirely positive. Has that helped your motivation, do you think, for painting?
Yeah. I don't think I got one comment once that was a bit not positive, but that was it. Everyone else is just
Name and shame. Name and shame.
Yeah, no, it's been so positive, and yeah, when you post it and people like it, it makes you feel good. Even when I don't think that it looks good, people are still like, no, I like this about it, or I like that about it, which I never thought.
Yeah.
But they just point out things that were good, so it's good.
You
It's
look
nice.
at you look at your own models in a bit of a different light.
Yeah.
Which is
You are generally your own harshest critic with your own work,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
yeah. And I guess like we were chatting about a little bit off the podcast, you were saying that, you know, you spend so long looking at that model, you start to pick it apart, I guess. And I mean, I saw on your socials that you made a commitment to post something no matter what. And that's awesome. That's just such a great attitude to have, because, you know, things might not go to plan, but other people are going to look at it and they might find inspiration from it, like the colors you've used or the way you've done something.
It is really good because, like, we were chatting about, quite often you get put into this little vacuum where there's all these amazing painters and you see their stuff, but you don't see a lot of the mistakes or stuff people aren't happy with. I've seen occasionally some stuff people aren't happy with, but it's good to be able to put it up and be like, you know, I finished this model, I painted it to completion. I don't love it, but it's also something you personally could probably learn off as well. You can be like, okay, so there are parts of it I really, really like, and I can move that to my next model. And then there's stuff that I don't like, and you can learn from that area and you know, don't make the same mistakes again. Theoretically. I think, yeah, it's good. I do the same thing sometimes. There's a few models, and it's only small stuff. It's not always the whole model, you know. I've done tilting shields I don't like the look of, or banners. Like I recently finished a Stern Guard Sergeant, and it ended up looking better than I thought it was going to. But there are some areas that I'm just like, yeah, it's not great, but, you know, it's there, it's finished. I still, like, personally have pride in the model because I finished it from start to finish, and, you know, it's a lot of time into a model. So
Do you think that's something you've improved at, sort of just accepting,
yeah,
taking the good with the bad?
yep. It's it's the paint to completion, not perfection thing. Especially if you're doing an army, it's probably a little different when you're doing a display model because, you know, that thing is meant to almost be perfect. But if you're painting an army and there's some bits you don't really like, if you've got it in an army, most of the time you're going to miss it because it's going to have that whole cheerleader effect. You got 2,000 points. You're not going to pick a tilting shield out and be like, yeah, that ruins the whole army.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you think looking back now, when you first started a year ago, you'd be this deep into the hobby?
No.
On a hobby podcast talking about Warhammer?
No way.
It's funny how it goes like that. I think we're probably in a little bit of the same boat, Justin.
Oh, for sure. There's a lot of times that you and I are like, the most common sort of sentence Mike and I have together or a conversation is, I can't believe. It's like, it's been a year of posting stuff on TikTok now. And if you,
So you've been painting for a year as well?
Yeah, 12 years. It's a year on TikTok. And like, it's not meant to be a brag, but like, if you told us a year ago we would be doing a podcast, I'd just be like, nah, there's no way. Or if you're like, we're going to have 13,000 people on TikTok, I'd be like,
yeah,
what are you talking about? People don't want to, like you said, there's people that don't want to see my stuff. People don't want to hear from me. But in actual fact, there are so many people out doing the hobby at so many different stages in the hobby that there's almost always going to be someone that's going to want to see your stuff and learn from your stuff and ask questions from you. Like, do you get people asking for paint recipes yet?
Yeah, it's so cute. Like, they'll message and say, oh, I look up to you, and I'm thinking, but I'm just, I don't know what I'm doing. And they'll ask for a recipe, and I hate like gatekeeping recipes and all that straight away. Like, yeah, this is what I use. This is what I primed with. Like, I'm happy to share whatever.
But in your hobby journey, like I have a similar thought process where I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, geez, I don't know what I'm talking about. But it's your hobby, so you know exactly what you're talking about because, like, they're asking you about your actual recipe.
Yeah.
You know, just because you don't work for Games Workshop, people want to know my red. They don't want to know the red that Games Workshop use. They want to know the red I used. And yeah, I've had thoughts too. I'm like, oh, I'm not sure I know what I'm talking about. but I do. When it's your own hobby and it's your own recipe, you know exactly what you're talking about. So hopefully you get to the point where you start to grow a bit more confidence and stuff, because your stuff is awesome. It always sounds like a little bit of a underhand compliment when you're like, oh, you've been in the hobby for 1 year, your stuff is awesome. It's just awesome. Your stuff is just awesome.
Thank you.
I'd love to see where your stuff is at in like a year from now, and where your social media is at as well, because if you're having this effect and you've only been painting for a year and people are asking you for recipes and you're inspiring other people, then another 12 months would be wild, I think.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the attitude as well, like you're so happy to help people and interact with them, and also, like you said, not gatekeep recipes. Like that attitude is just so crazy to, withhold information about a hobby like it's like your own personal.
Yeah.
Like,
I gatekeep one thing.
Yeah.
No one's going to learn how I do my reels ever, but I'll share absolutely every single recipe. You just can't learn how I do my reels.
Yeah.
It's the one thing I'll gatekeep.
You did tell people it's warp magic.
It is true. Yeah, true. Warp magic.
Yeah, but no, that attitude is just it's everything we're trying to encourage and promote in the hobby, is just be welcoming, help others, because we all had to start somewhere, and it
can be a very intimidating hobby.
Totally. Yeah, it can be so overwhelming, and especially as soon as you like one post of Warhammer and you get all these models that are just like next level. They basically look like they're photoshopped. Some of them might be.
Yeah.
But, you're like, oh, I'm never going to paint like that.
When I first started, sorry.
No, go for it.
I didn't know how to thin paint properly, so I'd have like these thick lines, and I just feel like it looks so bad. It still looked good. It just wasn't thin. It looked fine, but I remember just being embarrassed. I didn't want to post anything. But then when I did post it, there's other people who were doing the same stuff I was doing, and turned out fine. Everyone liked it still.
Yeah.
Don't need to stress so much like when you're learning it. Still, sometimes with some paints, I don't understand the consistency thing. Like some paints are easier than others, but just trial and error.
That is an experience thing, like you've even just said. Some paints are easier to thin and some you don't need to thin. So that is literally just an experience thing, and it will be paint to paint, especially with the Games Workshop range. There's some paints that cover really, really well that are layers, and there's some layer paints that don't cover well at all, especially if you add water. So it is an experience thing. You can get taught, you can read up a whole bunch of stuff. It needs to be a milky consistency. You're like, what does that mean? What does that even mean? So I've shown a couple of people on my TikTok lives how I do mine, which is basically just like dunk the brush in the paint pot, then dunk the brush in the water pot, and that's sort of the consistency. But it is very personal, I guess. So the more you paint, the better you're going to get at it. You're going to make mistakes, but like, who doesn't make mistakes when they're learning stuff?
Yeah, 100%. Did you find, were you overwhelmed at all picking up, like you said did you get a box of Daughters of Cain to start?
Yeah.
Yeah, were you overwhelmed with the learning curve of getting all the equipment and getting all the paints and things like that, or did your friend have a lot of that stuff?
I had a lot of help.
Yeah.
With everything. It was just the assembling, which was very hard for me. The glue, I'd put too much and it'd get all stringy, and then I'd start just stressing out because I didn't know how to do it, but I'm a lot better now. I still sometimes put too much glue, but back then, I had a lot of help. Yeah.
I can so relate. I use too much glue.
You said the same thing the other day. You came into work, you're like, hey man, if I put on too much glue, how do I fix that? And you're like,
yeah.
I don't know if you can, dude.
yeah. It was just like, I was like, oh, more glue is better because it'll like fill up over gluing, it'll fill up the joint a little bit. And I was just like, that is way too much glue. It's just like coming out onto the model. I'm like, cool. I'm pretty sure this glue melts some plastic. So,
yep.
Uh-oh. But yeah.
I mean, building's still my least favorite part of the hobby.
I don't mind it. I feel like
man,
that's like the easy now. Well, if I'm not stressing or putting too much glue and just making a mess, but I don't mind assembling.
Yeah,
But
I enjoy
mold
it.
lines annoying.
I enjoy it as well, but I suck at it, I think.
I'm breaking stuff all the time. I always make a story like, oh, I snapped this, or I'm just always having issues with assembling. I can't sub-assemble because later I always have some kind of issue and just I do the whole thing now.
Do you lose pieces? I've gotten better at not losing pieces because I keep them in little Ziploc bags. But bases, I'm notorious for losing 100 mil and 90 mil base. So they're a large base, right? For people that are watching on the video, it's a pretty big base. I lose them. I don't know how. There's a little gremlin around my house and he steals them every time and I have to go buy new ones. How do you lose 100 mil base? I don't.
Just between me and you now, as I come every weekend, I take one.
I actually
Would explain
lost
things.
something. I lost Marathi's head.
What?
I lost Marathi's head and then I couldn't find it anywhere. No one knows this. I haven't told anyone. I bought another Marathi so that I could have her head because I couldn't find it anywhere. Obviously, where you can find Marathi's head on eBay, but I had to buy another one. And then I found Marathi's head. So now I have Marathi in my cupboard, which I can still...
That's what happens.
Perfect.
That's
That's all right.
exactly what happens. I lost a piece of Dante when he was released. It was just this little, I think it might have been a grenade pack. Tiny, tiny little piece. And I lost it and I replaced it with another small piece, which is like a little book. And then I cleaned up out in the lounge room and I found it on the floor, the piece. And I was like, yeah, that'd be right. That would be right. It's always the way.
So good. There must be around...
But the
every
bases
hobbyist
don't turn
home.
up. The bases don't turn up.
Yeah, they're gone.
I did it with I built that repulsor most recently and I couldn't find the base.
Oh, you
It's-
lost that one as well?
Yep.
I remember you were looking for one when you first did your Brutalis.
Yep, Brutalis, 90 mil base, 100 mil bases, and an impulsor. They just go missing. It doesn't make sense.
You leave 'em
Someone has to be playing a trick on me, for real.
you definitely leave them in the box and they go in the recycling.
No, they don't go. Nah, doesn't. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it.
Oh, classic. Yeah, so the interactions you're getting with your followers, it's sounded like you're saying a lot of them were starting out when you were starting out. That's pretty cool to have that type of engagement from people at the same level as you. I think it's interesting because there seems to be a bit of a gap for hobbyists when they're first starting out. Like when you're a complete beginner, it doesn't seem like there's a whole lot of help in there. Like there's a lot of videos out there that are showing advanced techniques and things like that. Was your friend able to sort of coach you through a lot of the beginning stuff? Like had they been doing the hobby to a point that they were confident to teach you?
Not really, like, because they used to paint, but they would have been much younger.
Yeah.
So when they got into it, they were pretty much like getting paints all over again and tools and everything all over again, and didn't really have. We were pretty much learning painting all over again for him and me, brand new, with videos and Google searching up stuff, but they did know a lot more than me.
Yeah. I guess a few things I would obviously come back to them as you're sort of learning it all. Because that's where I think I've found watching Justin's live streams, people can kind of come in and ask any question. It doesn't really matter whether it's building or your first sort of color theory and things like that. Did you use a lot of social media for your help? Did you reach out to any other hobbyists? Did you go on socials and ask people how they did things at all?
I don't know. I can't remember. It's been a while, but definitely praising everybody. Like everyone's different. It's amazing how everyone can paint the same thing, but it just all turns out completely different. So I love seeing all the different styles and
yeah. Did you have anything to inspire you to paint a particular way for your first sort of?
Were there
paints?
any particular artists that you drew inspiration from? Like you might not remember their usernames or anything, but was there like, did you see some Daughters of Cain models that were painted yellow from a guy named? Nah. Did you see any Daughters of Cain models you're like, oh, I really liked how they painted you've got patterns on their eyes, I think makeup, or like they've got some like fancy eyeliner. I don't know what it is, but you've got some markings around their eyes. Was there someone you saw paint something similar to that and you're like, oh,
probably
that's
in I'd search up my model in Instagram, just look through all the pics
Yeah.
kind
Oh,
of
cool.
and see. So I don't really know who it was, if it was, but like I remember my snake ladies were really popular when I posted them. They got a lot of questions about it, but pretty much when I was a kid, I would like do doodles and stuff in class. I would do it like that in bright, nice colors. So I just thought, oh, I'll do it here, and it ended up looking cool. So it wasn't like inspiration from anywhere. It was just like a
Your own
natural-
inspiration.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I don't have that ability, that's for sure.
I don't know if I necessarily have that either. I draw inspiration from a lot of different artists and take pieces I like and combine them with other pieces from other artists. There are a few things. I mean, so an example would be my command squad that I've painted gold, but that was inspired by the Sanguinary Guard that already exists. So there was a paint scheme that existed on a model, and I was like, ooh, if I transfer that to this model, I think it'd look really cool. So it's not really an original idea, but
I think everything kind of is
nothing's original anymore.
Yeah, like it's inspired from someone, and then
Yeah.
that inspires them, and it'll.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, I guess that's art really. You draw from the world around you to then create your own style. Like no one's going to do it exactly the same as how you do it or you, Naz. Like it's all going to be your own style.
Like I've tried to follow tutorials on like YouTube, and I just can't. Like it never turns out like that. And then because that's their style, it's not my style. It just feels wrong, I guess. So then I try to just add in like some more brighter colors or change it up a bit. Then I feel like, yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you find it like, obviously you said you tried a few online tutorials. Did you find like it demotivated you almost, like if it wasn't turning out
Yeah.
your style? Like,
Yeah, like
Yeah.
just because they were doing it, it looked so just effortless, seamlessly doing it, and I'm trying, and like it's not looking like that. I don't like it, so I just tried. But
yeah.
some of, I think one I followed for my Lord of Pain. Majority was the YouTube tutorial, and then I changed a bit. But that was like the only one I could follow. All the other ones, everything turned out not how I wanted.
Yeah.
There are specific sort of paint styles, and like some people develop their own paint style. So it can be, the heavy metal paint style that I do is got its own style, and it draws people in that like that particular style. And it is, there's, and someone like yourself might be like, oh, I really like that green, but unless that's your paint style, it's very hard to achieve that specific green without doing that paint style. So
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose if you're not in love with that style of paint, you're going to struggle to do it, because like you'll be like, oh, this doesn't look how I want it to look.
it's about finding your paint styles,
Yeah.
Like I get asked often, you don't paint too much grimdark stuff when you're using like heaps of texture paints and stuff, because that's not my style. And I'm all for people painting the way you want to paint, because that's how you're going to stay motivated to paint your stuff. It's very difficult for someone that paints grimdark to want to paint something heavy metal, because they're used to painting what they're painting and they're comfortable with that, and that's how they paint. So finding your style is pretty important, I think. And some people develop their own personal style, so it's probably even harder for them.
I ran out of white primer, so I've been having to use like a darker grey and a black, and just like, nothing's turning out how I want it to, because I'm so used to white and bright, and it's just, I think, that's why I'm not so happy with my latest things, because it's just black primer, but definitely makes a huge difference.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so crazy how that can affect like how satisfied you are with your results and things like that. Even just, something as subtle as the colours coming through a little bit deeper, a little bit darker, when you want it to be bright and sort of pop a little bit more. That's Have you had any models turn out like that, Justin? Where you're
it's hard to remember. Not so much anymore, because I sort of know exactly what I want to do and how I want to achieve it. I'm trying to think. I don't think there has really been anything, because I can analyze a model and be like, this is going to be the best primer for me to start. And because my paint style is based around the heavy metal, it's very like systematic in a way. So
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm trying to think. I can't really. If I think of one, I'll definitely interrupt whatever you're saying
Yeah.
and let you know about it.
That's what I was just trying to think in the time that we've been sort of hobbying together. If you've ever stopped a model halfway or anything like that to restart.
It's pretty hard to remember because the whole 2023 was just Blood Angels.
Yeah.
So
You know what you're doing.
I don't know exactly what I'm doing with Blood Angels, and almost the whole of 2022 was my Necromunda stuff, which for me was a little bit of a learning curve with what primer I wanted to use on those models, but I think I didn't really have an issue with them. I started with the grey on my Van Sar because it was going to be a really good starting point for my teals and the darker colours, and I think I started with Mephiston red for my Goliath because their flesh tone is very red based as well. So I don't think it's been the longest time since I've started with a specific primer and had issues, because I chat to my mates all the time about painting stuff, and I'm like, dude, you need to be starting with this primer, bro. You're going to be like, that's going to be so much more work if you start with this primer. And if you're painting up armies, you want to cut those steps out because it already I take a long time to paint my stuff. I could start with a black primer on my Blood Angels and it would probably give me a deeper red, but I would also need to probably give it 4 base coats instead of 2. So adding even more time onto something is not ideal when you're trying to paint an army.
Yeah, definitely. Is there any tips you've picked up along the way that a year into the hobby now that you sort of wish you knew back at the starting point? Like we've had things like wet pallets, having like a good water pot or something like that. Is there anything that you're like, oh, I'm so glad I've got that now?
No, but I need those things.
It's all right. We've got a great episode on all of it. Episode number 2.
I think we've actually got 2 episodes on what you need to know for beginners.
Yeah. The second one's good. He's dressed like an elf. So
Was that Christmas one?
I'm pretty sure. Yeah. That was episode 7.
It was Christmas cosplay.
Yep. Christmas cosplay. Yep. But yeah, so when you started out, because it's majority like a very male dominated hobby, did you connect with any other female hobbyists, or is your friend a female hobbyist or like a male hobbyist?
No, that was my ex, so that's how that all started. But girls, yeah, I think we like flock to each other.
Yeah.
On Instagram, it's just nice to see another female painting up because like it's all guys.
All guys. Especially in Warhammer, like it's like, I think we're speaking about it. My partner and I came into a hobby store and like the only people that are there is just other guys, which for me is fine, but for my partner it's like it's kind of hard to start up a conversation and chat about the hobby.
Yeah, it was hard enough without taking away from female hobbyists at all, because I think social media's made it really accessible for everyone to get in the hobby now. You're starting to see just more and more people from everywhere getting into the hobby, which is fantastic. Makes it much easier to get into. And you can buy stuff online. You don't necessarily need to go into store. I even found going into store a little bit intimidating to pick stuff up just because of, I guess, the vibe that's around the store. There's a lot of people in playing games and they already know what they're doing at that point. Sometimes they're not overly helpful, especially with when you're playing your first game. We've touched on it before. The people that like to get a win over people that are first picking up the game is not extremely welcoming. So social media, I think, is fantastic for like, it's easier for without trying to make it this about like females in the hobby, which I think it's fantastic. We might touch on a full episode of that one day. It'd be really good. Females being able to get in contact with other females that are painting or getting into the hobby and gaming is so good. Like you can just be like, oh, there's someone else in Melbourne that's a female hobbyist. You might even be able to play some Warcry, or not Warcry, the Underworld games with another female hobbyist. Or I'm sure there's going to be so many people now be like, I'll play a Warcry game with Naz. Underworld. I keep calling it the same thing. It was like when I was calling DreamHack Dreamcast the other day. I couldn't stop.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So bad with it.
Exactly. But yeah, it's an interesting one because I think it's obviously such a good thing for people to be able to approach other people via social media. It's a little bit takes a little bit of the ice breaking away, because you already know you're interested in the same thing. Like you're both interested in the Warhammer hobby. You've instantly got that got that connection. But I find it strange. It's a little bit of a thing that's been in the Warhammer hobby since way back.
Is this about to get spicy?
Oh no, I wasn't gonna get spicy, but
We can get spicy.
I think the hobby itself, the hobbyists themselves, have been gatekeeping the hobby for themselves, if that makes sense.
Without knowing it.
Yeah, without knowing it, maybe doing it consciously. It's hard to say, but like you could walk into a Warhammer store or Games Workshop store at the time.
General Games.
Right, you should work
Churnside Park.
You should walk into
Don't walk into a Games Workshop store ever. Go into General Games Churnside Park. They're just way better.
Like now it seems like you walk into General Games, for example, and everyone is sort of really friendly, and it seems like it's better. But I mean, I've still gone in there when they're playing games out the back, and it's still like it takes a bit. I'm on a podcast, but I'm not a massively outgoing person, so I think it must be really hard. If that's how I feel, how does like someone who's, completely new to the hobby, or a little bit like, for a female to do it, it just seems like it would be such a higher benchmark to get over. But yeah, have you been into stores much and had to ask any questions or anything like that yet?
Did feel a bit daunting because like it's just full of guys and I didn't know much about the hobby at all. But the store people have always been really nice that I've met anyway. The only awkward thing was when I went in for the mini of the month and I had to assemble it, and all the guys are just staring at me while I'm sitting there assembling it, and I didn't want to finish assembling it. I said, "Can I just leave?" And he was like, "No, you got to assemble it." And I was like, "Okay."
Next time, just be like, "I know BFG Justin. Can I please clip these parts out and build it at home?" Because that's what I do. Yeah. Clip them out.
So you don't even assemble it in store?
No.
I don't want to. They always make me.
No. Just be. We'll go in together. I'll just be like, "Hey, Naz is going to build this, and we're going to nick off and build it at home."
Yeah, is that a policy they have?
I don't think it's an actual store policy. I know that some of the managers of those stores prefer people to build them there. I'm not sure. I don't even know why.
I think if that was me, like my hands would start shaking. I think if I had people over my shoulder watching me trying to build a model. I mean, I've done it on stream, and I think I sanded the same part for like 10 minutes.
Yeah. I suppose the good thing about these newer models that they're having for the models of the month is they are push fit, so you might be able to pull apart at home and then do the rest of the tidy up. But I've picked up probably 3 of them, and I'm like, "Can I just clip it out and put it in the box?" And they're like, "Yeah, that's fine."
Yeah,
as long as you just clip it all out and give them the sprue and stuff. I don't have issues.
It's a good tip for anyone that's been.
They're just going to get inundated by people being like, "I'm not building it now, bro. I'm just going to cut it up and take it home."
Yeah. Well, I don't know. What's the difference?
Who knows?
Yeah.
They want you to use their horrible tools.
They are horrible, aren't they? They are. They're the worst clippers ever. That's why you clip it right at the edge of the sprue and do a tidy up later. I've got like 3 models in there I have to build.
Have you been back for a model of the month after that?
Yeah.
Was it the same?
I just clip it really badly, and then I take it home and just fix it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it hasn't really been that awkward when I go in. I'm just an awkward person in general. So if someone's looking at me, maybe they're not even looking at me.
Yeah. Oh, I can relate as well. Yeah. Everyone's watching me. That's so funny. But I totally see where you're coming from there. Like that sounds like a bit of a nervous, like I'd find that awkward.
It's slowly getting better. I think it's more without picking on specific hobbyists. I think it's the people in store that sometimes make it a little more awkward. So, but it's slowly getting better over time. Like the stigma of a tabletop gamer now is changing a little bit. So whereas it used to be that stereotypical nerd, by putting a label on it, where it used to be the stereotypical
the
nerd.
neckbeards.
Yeah, it's slowly changing now, where it's just like everybody and anybody's getting into tabletop gaming because it's such a fantastic hobby to get into. Not even for just the gaming, like for the painting side of it. If you just want to paint, it's really good for that too. So
Exactly.
if you're wanting to get into the hobby and you're having second thoughts about it, just jump in. And I know it might be just find someone else to go into the store with, even if you're feeling a little bit nervous about going into a store, or go to General Games Churnside Park because they're friendly AF and they'll help you out regardless. Like, it's a really cool store.
Yeah, they're good people.
And that's not just because they're getting sponsored like it, sponsoring us. It's
Everyone's
fantastic.
seen it though. Glenn was on the week before. He's just the best dude.
And it's going to be bigger and better.
Definitely. So hopefully more hobby stores end up like that, where everyone can just cruise in and feel welcome and have just feel comfortable. I think it's kind of a hard thing to achieve though.
Maybe it's just being, if you're already a hobbyist in the hobby. Wow. If you're already in the hobby, maybe just be a little bit self-aware that not everyone's at the same point you are in your journey. Not everyone's played 100 games of Warhammer and knows what they're talking about. Not everyone knows the full range of paints. Not everyone knows every single codex. Just be aware that there could be someone that's new that might need some help. And they might, just be more welcoming. In general, be better. Just be better.
Have you had people, because I think even I've noticed it being around the hobby, is people will come out of the woodwork trying to explain things to you. Have you had anyone sort of giving unsolicited advice just out of nowhere yet? Like,
I thought you were picking on Lockie there for a second. Because Lockie's massive of just being like, he rocks up to my door and he's like, hey man, you seen the new rules for the Dark Angels? I'm like, no, not yet. And then he's like, bang, here's this, and this. I'm like, wow.
It's a little different if it's your mates, though, I think. If it's your mates, that's
is it someone on socials? Is that what you?
Yeah, socials or like in store. I think, like if you were building, for example, in store, like undoubtedly, from my vibe, from some people in store are just going to come in and be like, "Hey, you're building that wrong," like, or "Why are you building it this way?"
No,
you haven't had any of that yet.
Luckily, because I'd go into my cave and I would know if someone picked on how I was assembling it. No, I haven't had any. Not yet, anyway.
Cool. No, that's good.
I'm happy
to hear that.
Do you want my experiences?
Yeah.
I've got some. I got told how to paint Blood Angels once. When I was like, they're like, I was picking up paints and they're just like, oh yeah.
That's fair enough.
This is how I paint Blood Angels. I was like, cool man. I know what I'm doing.
How long ago was that?
Maybe 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So not when you're first starting out or anything like that.
No, it wasn't when I first started out. Yeah, I think if you're looking to give advice to people, like sometimes there's a little bit of a bell curve, right, in the hobby, where if you're new to the hobby, a lot of people will give advice. So like they're brand new to the hobby and they're starting to learn, and then they're like, here's all the stuff I've learned. And it might not always be the best information. And then you go down on this bell curve and be like an intermediate hobbyist, and you sort of know more about what you're doing, but you don't tend to tell anybody at all. And then the bell curve starts to kick up again, and you get to the point where you know what you're talking about. And I guess this is where I'm at. And you're looking to help people, but I won't force my ideas on anyone. If someone wants help, then I'm willing to give them help. So like if someone, and I say it all the time, if people are in the Discord or on the IGs, without sounding creepy, you can slip in my DMs, and I'm always there to try and help people with their hobby, whether it's paint recipes, how to build something in sub-assemblies. Doesn't matter how big it is or how small, as long as there's a question attached and it's not just like, here's my model, what do you think? I'm not just there to give you acknowledgement on a model. I want to help you out with stuff. So there could be what you're talking about. It could be a lot of people that are new to the hobby that are just like, hey, this is how you do it. And it's not always, there's no like hard rule of how to hobby.
Well, my point to that would be, you're not slipping into other people's DMs telling them how to do their hobby.
Never.
Yeah, which is, I think, I don't know. I'm glad to hear you haven't experienced that, especially with your social media growing the way it has. from my experience with the hobby, even through our YouTube channel and stuff like that, we get
Hate mail.
multiple comments. Not a hate, no, definitely not hate
There was
mail.
one guy that was like, thin your black paints and never make a tutorial again.
Yeah, oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah.
Thanks for that. I'm going to make my last tutorial in March and then we're going to stop. That's it. Because that one dude, I mean, he seemed to know what he's talking about. He had no profile. He had no images of any of his hobby stuff, but I'm almost certain he knew exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah.
So
It sounded like it.
no more tutorials coming from Battleforge Gaming. This probably could be our last podcast because he might message us and be like, learn how to do a podcast. Stop doing
Yeah,
them.
thin your podcast.
Nah, to that guy, I can't even remember your username. You're a nobody, pal. You're an absolute nobody.
Oh, classic. Yeah, so that's fantastic. I mean, I think the hobby is getting better. I think, with a lot of the reels and stuff we've been putting up from the podcast, people are enjoying the fact that we're promoting, including everyone, being open and chatting about the fun side of the hobby. You don't have to, critique people's work if they don't want it critiqued. Just, show off your work, have fun. Let's paint some Warhammer models.
Yep. And if someone does ask for a little bit of critique and stuff like that, don't just dump an encyclopedia on them of knowledge. Give them a couple of things to work on, because if you're new to the hobby, man, there's no way you could learn like 11 tips some new guy who probably doesn't even implement those tips does into your model. Just give them a couple of tips. Be like, work on seeing your paints a little bit, work on separating your colors a little bit, and touch on some edge highlights. And then they can work on those three things and then, improve on other stuff. Doesn't have to just be like, because imagine putting your whole effort into a model, your first ever model, and some guy just shreds it apart and gives you like 11 different things to work on.
Yeah.
You'd be like, oh, I guess my model is the worst thing in the world then.
Yeah.
Whereas if they're like, hey, these are the bits I liked about it, and these are the things you could improve on pretty easily.
Yeah.
It's about motivating people. We don't just rip them down. You got to build them up too. So
Definitely. 100%. Yeah. If people are asking for tips and things like that, or for feedback, that's totally fine. But like you said, the feedback has to be constructive. You can't just, everything about this is wrong. You can't, and it's art. At the end of the day, who cares? It's art. It's subjective. If you love that model, awesome. That's sick.
Yep. You catch more flies with honey than you do vinegar.
Yeah. But like your first model, Naz, you probably weren't as good a painter as you are now when you did that. But do you like that? Do you like that model still?
Yeah, it's like my little friend from the past.
Yeah, you'd be so proud of it.
Pro tip, keep it forever. Don't do what I did. Keep it forever so you can always go back to that model and just be like, this is the stepping stone of where I painted. And you can see that journey. You can be like, this next model was the one I started to learn edge highlighting on. And then like 4 models later was the one that I really started to nail my edge highlighting. And the same with
Marathi.
Marathi. Yeah. I started doing scales of Marathi, and then my edge highlighting was A+.
Yeah, like I wanted to strip my witch elves because they were like one of the first ones I did, and I wasn't happy with them. But now I'm like, I'll just buy some more, and then I can have those and the new ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, you'll be so glad that you didn't strip them as well. I think we've had people talk to us about, I'm just going to strip this model. And it's like, if you don't have to, just keep it. You'll look back and you'll be so happy you kept it, I think.
There's one thing I can say from being where we're at now, which, we're going to continue to build Battleforge Gaming. We're not where we want to be. I never thought I'd get into social media, creative content type of stuff. So not saying that everyone would, but you don't know where you're going to be in the future with your models. Like you might end up taking paint classes or something, and you can show people where you started and then where you're at now. And unless you've got that physical example in front of you, like you can only refer to it. Like we were chatting about my first ever model, and I was like, I painted it red and gave it a wash, and then I thought the light was enough highlight for me, but it's pretty hard for you to create that model in your mind. I remember what mine looked like, and it was below average. So keep your first models. And it can, you know, financially, sometimes it is a struggle to be able to buy new models, but you can always wait. You don't need to buy the models there and then. So keep your older stuff as a reminder of where you were on that journey in the hobby, for sure.
Have you got a favorite model you've done so far?
I don't know.
They're all your favorites.
I like, yeah, I don't know. Can't even remember what I painted. I have a bad memory.
I like that the witch from the Underworld's definitely one of my favorite on your Instagram. That's for sure. Like the new Lord of Hubris is cool, but that witch elf with a, like, I think she had makeup too, or the markings on her face, very cool.
Yeah, like my witch elves, I tried to do the black eyeliner. Absolutely horrible. It just looks like, it looks so bad. And then with that one, it turned out good. So,
but so you had to experience the first ones and paint that before you could get to the point you're at with your newer stuff.
Yeah.
Because that was the first. Is that the witch elves you were like tossing up about stripping back? Yeah. No, don't do that. That's so good. And you've taken on commission as well.
Yes.
Was that something that came about because of the social media or?
Yeah, it was my favorite YouTuber. I messaged them just saying like, "Oh, I love your videos," and then they were like, "Oh, I love your minis. I've never seen anything painted like that. Could you paint something for me? I'll pay you." And I was like, "Yeah." I don't know, it was cool. I thought it was really cool.
That is cool.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
Yeah,
that's so good.
And he gave me a few options to pick from. I thought half orc barbarian would be easy enough to paint, and I thought the model was really cool. When I got it, it was really small, so it was 28mm scale, which I think like Warhammer's like 32.
Yeah, so 28 is probably closer to the Necromunda models.
Yeah,
Necromunda's much smaller model, so it is much more difficult to paint. Yeah.
I couldn't even see the eyes. It was so small. But everyone was like, just give it a go. And I was like, okay. And I did. And I primed it. I dropped it. The weapon snapped off. And I had to, which in the end kind of helped me a bit because now I could reach all the tiny spaces that I couldn't before. But then I had to super glue it back on and it was like, it looks kind of crooked. But yeah, I like it. But it could have been better. If it was a bit bigger, it would have been way easier and I would have liked it a lot more. But I still think the guy will be happy with it.
Yeah, fantastic. I think you just talked us through like every commission painter's, like first commission painter's worst nightmare.
Yeah.
The model just like breaking in front of you.
Yeah, just straight snap. At least it was straight. I was on the balcony and I'm on the 4th floor, so that could have
gone
just
anywhere.
yeeted anyway.
Yeah.
But like we were just talking about, I posted that I'm not in love with it, but I said, I still have to post the commission. I will do it.
Yeah.
Even though I don't like it, I will do it.
Yeah, I love the commitment to that. That even if you don't love the model personally, you're going to put it out there because you're going to inspire a ton of people, especially if you've got a community that are just starting out in the hobby. You know, they're gonna see your work and be like, yeah, I can get there. I'm gonna keep at it.
Here's the thing about a commission though as well. Like sometimes you'll have like a preset color scheme that your client wants or like a specific paint style, and it may not even be something that you particularly like yourself, even from the beginning, let alone at the end. But as long as your client is happy with the end result, that's all that matters. Because I don't really do commissions. I don't really offer my services.
Too expensive.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. But I guess I'm on the point where I'm very picky with who I would do the work for. It has to be my style, my particular style on the models that like I enjoy for me to be able to do a commission job. So yeah, I'm sure, like you said, your client will be absolutely stoked with the end result. But it shouldn't be looked at as a negative if you don't personally see it as the best model.
Because we're holding it like this, but they're gonna hold it like like on the table. They're not going to be like what I'm doing, judging every single little
Yeah.
bit of it.
It's for
So,
D&D, I'm assuming. Yeah.
D&D.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly like you said. Like when you're painting it, you're literally looking as close as you physically can to the model, and then because you've been looking at it for days on end, you're like noticing this is wrong, or like I don't like this part of it. Or
It doesn't help that the D&D models aren't as detailed as Warhammer stuff. They're like lacking a little bit of detail and not as crisp and not as clean and smaller. So
did you
it's
say
very,
they're resin as well? Those ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. How did you find the commission style of things, painting for someone else as opposed to painting for yourself? Did you think that's something you would look into doing more?
I don't know. It is a bit stressful because like it has to turn out good because it's for someone. If it's for me, then no, like who cares? But yeah, it was a bit stressful. I guess I'd do every now and then, but I could never paint up an army for someone. No way.
I guess it's a bit of a confidence thing as well. Like you're saying, it has to turn out good, but your painting is good. So, it's going to turn out good. It will turn out good. That's that bell curve you're talking about, Justin. I guess it happens with confidence as well.
yeah, for sure.
And I think we spoke about it on a previous episode about commissions, but you're hoping that you said the YouTuber or the client liked your style. So that's what they want from you.
Yeah, that's why they've come to you.
That's why they've come to you.
Yeah.
They're not asking you to do heavy metal or, a particular anyone else's style. They want honeydew miniatures. They want Naz's style. So
I never think of it like all these things you're saying. I'm like, that's true. But yeah, you never think of it like that.
yeah, no.
Like
Yeah.
I do know what I'm talking about because I pick the colors. And
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's right.
And that's confidence is a big thing when it comes to painting as well, because some people naturally are more confident in their own abilities. Some people can be so confident that they have a slight delusion, whereas look, let's be real. Some people doubt themselves. I'm one of those people. I doubt myself a lot, and it sounds like that you maybe have the same thing. And sometimes you have issues with your confidence. Whereas if you can get to the point where, I know what I'm talking about. I know you don't have to be arrogant with your work, but people are coming to me because they like how I paint. You'll improve as a hobbyist that way as well when you get more confidence, because it helps you try things that you otherwise wouldn't be doing. It was very difficult for me to start doing freehand text until the point I taped some stuff up and then started doing my first text. And once I did that, I had confidence to do even more stuff. So it can be a little bit of a snowball effect, getting that confidence, and you never know what you'll achieve once you start to have confidence in your own artwork, your own painting.
Definitely. Yeah.
You're painting stuff for YouTubers. It's massive.
Yeah, that is massive. Justin doesn't even do that.
No.
No, that's very cool.
I have people asking me to paint Leviathan base coated.
Yeah. You can base coat some.
I could base coat the shit out of Leviathan, but I'm not going to do
it. Yeah, and I mean, were you nervous saying yes to a commission? Because I've always wondered. Brushlicker, when we spoke to him about commissions, it had been so long since he did his first commission. I always wondered how nervous the very first one would be. Like, oh man, am I going to get this? Am I going to get this done? Like, if there's a time frame, am I going to get this done in time?
Did you have a time frame on it, or was it just like take your time?
Yeah, there was no time frame. There was nothing specific he wanted.
Perfect. That always takes a lot of pressure off because, like Brush was saying, he might have to get stuff ready for someone's army for an event. That would obviously add another element of stress to painting a commission.
Yeah. Well, there's no going back if you're looking to touch stuff up with most of those time frames. Like you kind of just have to push through it, and like you said, paint to completion. You don't really get the option to fix it up.
Yep.
But is it going to get used on a YouTube video? Do you know?
I don't know. Maybe that'd be pretty cool.
That would be awesome.
He does do videos where he like opens fan mail and stuff and shows.
Shout outs.
That's cool.
Awesome.
That'd be very cool. do like a D&D playthrough, I guess, what would be the equivalent of like a battle report?
Is that something that they would do? That creator, would they do a actual D&D campaign?
I know that they play, but their channel is completely nothing to do with.
Nah.
Yeah.
That's fair enough. Yet they might switch it up.
Maybe they'll get a full range of honeydew miniatures for D&D and do a honeydew D&D campaign.
How many miniatures? That's not too many, is it? It'd be like half a dozen or something. Whoever's playing.
I'm not fully aware of how D&D operates. I think everyone has one character each. We need a laptop charger. Is that what's happening? It should be in my hobby room on the ground.
There you go. Background M.
You can background M can just shout out.
Background M to the rest of
Hopefully, it's found. I might have to move in a minute.
you. No, that's all right.
But I think D&D is you only have one character per person, and then the dungeon master controls the little critters that are running around, or a big monster. I think.
I just realised we won't be able to charge the laptop.
Oh, is that?
Do you have enough plugs?
I don't think so. Is there? No. Well, that could be pretty much how much battery we got left.
5%.
5%. That sounds like it could be the end of this episode. Wow. There we go.
There you go. Well, we might have to cut this one a bit short then.
Yep.
What's
we can
coming?
always do a second episode if you'd like to come back for a second episode.
Definitely.
Yeah.
What's before our laptop crashes? What's coming up for Honeydew Miniatures in 2024? Continuing the Instagram posting.
Yeah. Do my Slaanesh. I think I'm going to stick more to Slaanesh than Meta Knights of Slaanesh than the Daughters of Cain at the moment. So more of that. I really like just purple. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
that helps. And you said you played a game of Underworld. Do you think you're going to try a couple more games? Would you play Underworld again? Is that
yeah, I'd play.
I might have to paint up an Underworld game.
yeah? For those watching, if you play Underworld, we've got one player right here, so we just need a couple more. We'll get some games going.
The Battleforge Gaming Underworld League.
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe.
Coming to YouTube.
Yeah, coming soon.
Fantastic. Justin, you've got more nids to paint.
Oh, I got heaps of nids to paint. I'll be painting them tonight. This is obviously live on a Saturday. So I'll be starting live tonight on stream. I'll be getting the airbrush out and trying to paint these things as fast as I can.
That's actually an interesting question. Do you think you'd ever get into the live painting side of things? Like,
I've thought about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do it.
Yeah.
You should do it.
The first couple of streams will be pretty difficult holding the model there and reading all the comments, but it's like anything, the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Yeah, definitely. So yeah, for those starting out that are, painting Slaanesh models, Honeydew Miniatures is the person to talk to, I think.
Apparently.
Definitely worth if you get stuck, just reach out. We say it with all the hobbyists, and you seem super welcoming and friendly as well in that respect. If you got any questions, just reach out because, we want the hobby to be a welcoming and helpful place. We want to grow this hobby to be as big as it can be. So the only way you do that is welcoming people in.
The more people we welcome in, the more people can watch us. So
That's it. That's the truth behind it all. No. But yeah, thank you everyone for watching. We've had to cut this episode a little bit short due to some technical issues or the battery life of our laptop. And we'll see you in 2 weeks. Thank you so much to Naz or Honeydew Miniatures for joining us. Thank you, Justin.
no worries.
And we'll see you next time.
See you guys.